Hi there, everybody. This is Dylan from Practical Publishing, and welcome to our first Sign Africa Print webinar. I'd like to welcome the audience. I see we have so far about 145 people online, and it's growing. I'd like to welcome the guest speakers in front of me, which I'll introduce in a bit. Just want to add to it, there's probably one of the new future in terms of having online and digital meetings with short pants, flops, and a smart shirt. So I think people will get used to that as well. Cool. So I'd like to just welcome the guests that I have with me today. So I'll start off. This is Wessel van der Merwe from Maisie.
Hello, everybody.
And I have Bob Glenister from Roland, South Africa.
Morning, everyone.
I have Raymond Waldeck from Cullydeck.
Hi, folks.
And Rob Makinson from Midcom. Welcome, guys.
Morning.
So let's just get into a few house rules quickly as well for the audience. You may ask some questions. There's on the sidebar, you'll see there's a place where you can add some questions. You can also upvote people's questions that have already been asked that you would like to also get an answer for that. So the more it gets upvoted, the higher it'll be for me to have a look at it and then address the question to the panel. We will also go through the questions potentially after each question that I ask our guests. If no questions, we'll get to those as soon as there are some. Also try to address your question to a member of the team. That'll also be great. Then at the end, if you guys could also just do the poll. We have a few poll questions just to get some feedback. And then there is also a chat section where you guys can also let us know what you would like us to host in future webinars for the industry. So any sort of subject matter that that you guys would be interested in. So that's it, yeah. So let's kick off. I'd like to start with Rob Makinson with the first question, and then we'll go through each member of the panel after Rob. Is your company open during this lockdown, and what services will you be offering?
Okay, so the office is officially closed. Like most, we do have a essential services certificate. We are backing up quite a few customers who are operating. Our engineers and our salespeople are effectively working. Nobody's on leave. Most are managing to be reasonably productive from home. Tech support via TeamViewer. We can go on site if necessary. We do have customers that are running, so it's important that we keep those lines of communication open. And the salespeople are conversing with customers and just making sure that the community out there at large is taking care of themselves. We're obviously not trying to do any hard selling. So we are able to open offices. Our innovation hub is running. We are offering disaster recovery to certain customers, and we're helping a few with some overcapacity issues and stuff they're trying to produce that fall into the essential services category. So yes, we're semi-open, but not officially.
Great, thanks, Rob. Wessel, have you got something to add there?
Yeah, Maisie's also open since day one. In the sense of being open, also available on request, limited staff resources, fully comply with the essential services rules. Shortly after the lockdown announcement by the President, we applied for our essential services permits. We met with our management and IT team, put all the necessary technology in place to be able to be reachable and as remotely as possible. At this time, we were also informed by our international partners, as this is a global pandemic, the demand for plastic screens and plastic thermoplastic transparent forms of it used in the sneeze screens applications, well, at that stage called spit screens in South Africa. As Maisie is known as the plastics guys and very famous for our cut-to-size value-added service. We immediately geared ourselves to be able to supply for this demand and be ready. We did not at that stage know what the demand and the volume would be like. From there, we pretty much got inundated with phone calls from medical professionals, aircraft engineers, mechanical engineers, entrepreneurs, and they all got on board with this call to curb COVID-19. We had various e-meetings with the advisors, the designers, the decision makers, the doctors themselves, the medical frontline staff, and so forth. And from there on, we started supplying various medias, from the plexiglass used for the intubator boxes, the sneeze screens, the Lumix for the face shields, the Impexes for all the safety dividers and so forth. And that is what we've been doing since day one. And it's definitely continued to grow, the demand, specifically after the Easter weekend.
Great. Thanks, Wessel. Raymond, could you add from your side, please?
I think most probably adding to the guys is Calidec has been registered as essential service provider since the 29th of March. We've been assisting customers, old and some very new ones, during the lockdown period. And also, Dylan, if you'll allow me to just thank all my colleagues and everybody at Calidec that really rose to this challenge. And as we speak, are selflessly busy ensuring that our customers get their supplies, get sorted out there. We've been supplying product across the spectrum, from paper, labels, signage, packaging material, and our technicians are actually physically on site at some of the larger customers to ensure that the continuity of their operations, which of course is so important to the success of lockdown COVID-19. So very much available and able to service customers as required.
Brilliant. Thanks, Raymond. And Bob?
Not going to add much more than that. Obviously, our dealers are all open to service the essential service customers who are running health and safety, branding, etc. for essential services business. So yes, we've been open since. With the skeleton staff since lockdown began.
Brilliant. Thanks, Bob. Wessel, I'm going to address the next question to you to start with. I think there are many small companies that are shut down during this time. Any advice one can give on what they can do, obviously within the law, during this time to be productive? And being productive is also in the sense that if they're not being able to produce something, what they can do to be productive. And could you also then share some examples of a few of your customers that have innovated and adapted their business throughout the lockdown and beyond?
Well, Dylan, I think if there's a time to get out of comfort zones, then this is it. We've all been forced to act and adapt. I've actually been stunned by the types of inquiries received specifically from the SMMEs. Yeah, it's true that you pretty much dictate your because a lot of those guys specialize in certain fields or specific customer base. And if you were one of the lucky ones that had an end user customer on your database, then they would call on you and make you their shortest route to solution as their primary supplier of media and plastic substrates and awareness campaigns. Customers who typically serve the current list of essential services, the hospitals, and we all know who they are, the grocery stores and so on, they got involved from the start of lockdown, and they already engaged with us and asked for media specifically for these applications. Then there were those who really got involved with community projects, and that was nice, like the 3D printers who got involved with their the printing of the headbands for the face shields, and from there got the clear Lumix visors to complete the product. And even though they did not have the essential services permits, they called on this community project, who then as a collective effort got the permits in place to get the face shields in from us, and the filaments from the suppliers to actually get this initiative off the ground. So just mentioning a few specifics with the current customers that diversified from there. I think post lockdown, then a lot of the non-essential guys are also going to be in need of these products. So there's so many opportunities. The guys are innovative by nature because they're in the design industries and so on. So I think beyond lockdown, I actually look forward to a lot of innovation to surface.
Excellent. Thank you, Wessel. Bob, can you just share your thoughts on being productive and what your customers have been doing?
Well, obviously there's now and later. So now you need to start, you as printers or people that are supplying the printing industry, for example, you need to be looking at customers that are operating in that industry. So you produce safety signs, you produce branding, look at opportunities to now be talking to all of these customers to say, we can put your safety signs in place. You can offer branding to third parties on these products that you are actually manufacturing and supplying. So get everybody involved. That's in the short term. In the long term, we'll come to later. But all of you can actually get involved in supplying those people that are supplying essential services. You need to get out there and say, how can I help you?
Brilliant. Thanks, Bob. Raymond, can you let us know from your side, please?
No, I think just to sum up what Wessel and Bob referred to there, it's important to remain relevant and remain relevant in the society in which we operate. We all have a role to play, and I think it is an opportunity to get involved and to remain relevant for what we actually stand for in this industry, which has got a huge role to play in the post-COVID-19 environment we're going to see.
Brilliant. Thanks, Raymond. And Rob?
I think Wessel hit the nail on the head. It's step out of your comfort zone and start thinking outside the box. Those that do that will succeed ultimately. I think as has been happening for the last couple of years, business doesn't just come to you anymore. You need to go and find it. And those who are innovative enough to get out there and identify the markets will make themselves busy and will survive. And those who sit back and are going to wait for orders and order taking,
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's going to be very, very tough out there. I echo Wessel's sentiment completely.
Great. Thanks, Rob. I see we've got a question from Jean-Pierre. He's actually asked two questions, and he's addressed them to you, Rob. It's JP here from ZA Pop. Is there any way we can start printing campaigns while still in lockdown? And his second part of the question was, is there any permits we need to get?
Well, the first thing is you do need a essential services permit or certificate. I think that was from Sean De Silva took care of that. I think it's from Business SA. It's not that difficult to get that essential services certificate. Once you have that, that allows you to travel to and from your place of work. Where the work is coming from our experience, print work is not that prevalent. There's a couple of people doing a lot of floor decals, for example, for demarcations, for social distancing on floors of various retail outlets. There's a lot of medical traveling to and from hospitals who now have signage on their motor vehicles they didn't have before. So there's a little bit of that printing going on, and we're supporting a few customers doing that. So anybody who can tap into that with the supermarkets in terms of their requirements, yes, there is printing to be done. And to get that essential services certificate is not a big deal. I don't know the exact process, but I think if you Google it, it's reasonably simple, or perhaps someone else on the panel can explain the process. But they are granted fairly freely, provided you can prove that what you need to be doing is for the better good of the current situation.
Yeah, I would agree there. I think one of the aspects I think that JP might be asking is also to say, could they start if they have orders in hand, for instance, for a retail customer, could they do the printing now and then deliver it later on? I think that was part of what I sort of picked up from the question. I would say no, unless you have essential services certificate. As far as I know, it's the Biz portal from the CPIC is where one applies for your essential services certificate. It's quite quick. You'll get it within minutes. So if you just go through the process and enter in your company registration and you select the service or the category you fall under, and then it gets issued to you, as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't honestly know what makes the distinction between an essential print and a non-essential print. Your general point of sale advertising in terms of cost of bananas may not be considered as an essential service. But printing safety signage or demarcation signage is very definitely.
Yeah, that is true. It's a good, interesting aspect.
But I do know that
it's a very interesting aspect because.
Sorry to interrupt there,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think one must be very careful that your certificate isn't the be-all and end-all to start operating again. The Department of Trade and Industry has been doing raids on certain companies, and they are very specific in what you're busy doing. Of course, the temptation is always there to get some stuff out of the way. But I think within yourself is to remain disciplined. My advice will be and stick to the real essential work, and that for which your customer in turn has got an essential service certificate. That should keep you in the clear.
Excellent, yeah. Thanks for that, Raymond. Bob, I see your video feed has gone off, but are you still there with us?
I'm here.
Great. Bob, I'd like to address this question to you to start off with. It's very important to be focused on the future. I hear many iterations that the world will be different and we need to do things different going forward. What does this mean for the printing and signage industry? Will it need to change? And also importantly, how would one need to change? What is your opinion on that?
I think most of us realize the rhetoric of how we see the future, and a lot of people are trying to pick up on the agenda of the pandemic and saying this is the way the world should be and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, we are always dealing with change. Sometimes we get a seismic change. Right now we have the ghost of Wuhan, and it's pushed this pause button. Some people say it's not a pause button. Some people say it's a change button. Well, very few of us in life, we're always busy and we never have time to think about our future. So I think it's you've got a unique opportunity right now. Slow down, think about the things that are valuable to you, think about the things where you add value, think about the things you don't like anymore and don't want to be doing. So change, and that affects all of those people around you. Discard the rubbish and hold on to the things of value. So you've got a great opportunity. So the one positive that comes out of this whole thing is you've got a chance to reshape. Now, how society ends up, that's society's going to solve this problem by itself. I'm not going to give you a crystal ball. There's a lot of people trying to give you a crystal ball. You can get there. We all read the data. And there's data for the doomsters and there's data against the doomsters. And the problem is it's all become very political. So learn to forget about all of those influences and start thinking about how do you value and try to look for blame. I mean, that's the historian's job at the end of the story. Look at the way and say, how do I change to add value to the people around? Become valuable to those out there. That's the future. And what that value is really determined by those people out there. So some people are going to want to keep social distance. Some people are going to say it's garbage. Don't get into that kind of political argument. Look at how can I become essential as a supplier to you. And when I use the essential, I don't mean it under the government definition of essential. In other words, how do I become essential to the guy down the road, the garage owner down the road? How do I become essential to the restaurant who's going to have to change his business because not enough people are coming in there? Look at ways you add value. So that's the only thing that, and it's always changing. So I don't know why suddenly we think the world is changing. The world has been changing forever, and that's the beauty of the world. Otherwise, it'd be very boring.
Great, thanks for that, Bob. Vessel, I'd like to get your opinion on that, please.
It's a difficult question. I'd like to quote our chairman, Ricky Maisy, on this. He always walks into a conference and they say, change is guaranteed. Not always comfortable, but guaranteed. But is it not part of life for us to evolve and adapt to as life changes and as challenges come our way? Personally, I do think that our industry, specifically the signage and printing industry, is one of the industries that uses technology to a great extent, and that we can, or our customers can, create turn our customers' ideas into virtual reality without getting into a face-to-face contact. I mean, the big issue here now is everybody's making noise about social distancing. And I think our industry can do a hell of a lot without getting in touch face-to-face. People can share ideas, they can put ideas into virtual reality, and from there order the necessary materials and turn that into reality and have an installation team with minimal to no contact whatsoever. So I don't think a hell of a lot needs to change to still make this industry work and profitable.
Brilliant. Thanks, Wessel. Raymond?
No, I think that, the old adage, the only constant is change. And I think as Bob clearly pointed out, there is to remain relevant to your customers and relevant to your supply chain in all its different phases, so that you can supply ultimately and provide value. I think was the word that Bob used there. And that is ultimately the attitude for reacting to the change that will remain with us forever.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Rob?
I think enough said that we're a people-to-people and business-to-business kind of community, so it's very difficult without shaking hands and speaking to people face-to-face. But I agree with what everybody said. There's so much that could be done remotely. We're busy developing virtual demonstrations, customized virtual demonstrations where people don't have to come to our offices to have a demonstration. We can do it over the web. So that will change. I do also think that in 5 years' time, we'll look back on this and see it as a bit of a blimp. I can't see that for the rest of our life we're not going to shake hands anymore, but it's going to take a while. And certain things, you're certainly going to question putting your hand out to somebody to shake it based on what you might be inheriting. And that will change. Yeah. Business-wise, I think in 5 years' time, we perhaps may have forgotten this, and that's unfortunate because it could happen again, according to the experts.
Great, thank you. Rob, I see there's a question I'd like to just address to you. It's from Jean-Ray Weber. Is there any advice you can give on still prospecting or getting new clients during this pandemic? And I suppose the panel can actually answer that as well, anyone from the panel.
Pick up the phone. Literally pick up the phone and start speaking to people. It's not difficult to phone the local SPA and find out, is this printing centralized, decentralized? If it's centralized, who do they phone to see if they can tap into what might be required? Pick up the phone. That's my best advice.
Brilliant. I see also Brad Richards as just probably more of a statement he's making here. Is would be cool if suppliers shared ideas. Example, letting customers know that they have a huge demand for PET due to laser cutting of masks. So I think what he's saying is that I know of a few suppliers that have collaborated with certain customers and that have certain equipment to make certain of the PET products. So I think that's pretty much what Brad is saying, more as a statement than a question. All right, so I'd like to address the next question to Raymond. It's on the financial side of things. How should one deal with the financial impact of COVID-19 has inflicted on all the companies and individuals? Any advice what should be done on an immediate basis? And also what advice and what should companies be focused on financially speaking when they reopen for business?
Yeah, done and very difficult question. Of course, we all have got different businesses and different models. But I think the first thing that we need to do is accept that nothing will ever be the same again. And then we also need to be blatantly realistic with regards to the future, the income streams, the cash flows, the sustainability of supplies. I think there's three legs of any business, any small business, for that matter, medium or large. We found in the place, obviously, the tenancy, the rentals, and the leases. There's in your product that you need consistency of supply and purity of supply, and your markets, your customers, and make sure that you can reach them in difficult times. Now, if any one of these legs disappear, your business, of course, will collapse. You won't have a business. So one needs to nurture those relationships, I think develop relationships, and be cognizant of the complete supply chain, and know the legs on which your business is based. So a reality, and most probably added to all of that is communication. communicate with your suppliers, communicate to your customers, and make sure that you are realistic and pragmatic in what you do. And I think Wessel said earlier, it might become a bit uncomfortable for the next while. So those big Mercs and the nice luxury yachts is out for a while. I think it's make sure that you concentrate on sustainability.
Great. Bob, what's your opinion on the financial side?
Well, I think first you have to be practical. You're all suffering from a big problem right now. Your cash flow is going to be an issue. So I'm going to give you some just basic advice that will take a lot of headaches off your shoulders. Make a list of all the coming money that you've got. In other words, make a list of those people that owe you money. Phone them. Find out who's going to be able to pay you. Find out, discuss and negotiate with those who are going to feel some pain in paying you. Negotiate some terms. Once you know how much money is coming in, phone the people you owe money to and say, this is the plan. This is what I'm getting in. And this is how I'd like to pay you. Don't wait for those phone calls, because all you're going to do is stress yourself out. You're not going to answer the phone, and you're going to miss those calls from customers who are going to give you business. So once you've got that plan in place, you will be amazed at how relaxed you are and that you can now face the future, because every one of us is in a cash flow issue. So deal with the issue now, get it out of your way, put a plan in place, and you'll sleep a lot better, and you will be able to deal with the future better.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Rob?
Yeah, Bob also hit the nail on the head. I think from our experience in the last couple of weeks, we've been in contact with every landlord for each of our offices. We've been in contact with the banks. We've been in contact with insurance companies. And in different forms, everybody seems to come to the party. So every business should be speaking to their bank manager. Maybe they need a bigger overdraft. Speaking to their landlord. Maybe they need a payment holiday on their rent or some reduction in their rent that can be added later. The insurance companies maybe look at group life policies and see if the savings portion of that can be suspended for a while. There's all manner of things where suppliers and stakeholders in the business can contribute to the situation. I think managing cash flow is really going to be everybody's deciding factor as to long-term sustainability in the next 2 to 3 months. And we've seen already some people are avoiding phone calls. Some who are taking the calls at least are simply saying, sorry, we don't have the money we need to pay our staff. And I think for all of us, staff and keeping people in their jobs is the number one priority. So unfortunately, the supply chain, as Raymond referred to, could get hurt because, the further you go up the supply chain, potentially the more it can hurt.
Great. Thanks, Wessel.
Yeah, this is a tough one. We know the majority of our nation pretty much exist or live hand to mouth from an individual point of view, but both individual and from a company point of view. What is important here is that, or the word mentioned by the financial gurus here is customers in good standing. And I can assure you those who were silent or went silent in the past are not labeled as a customer in good standing. Don't go silent, speak up. We are all in a position of being a customer, and we're also in a position of having a customer or serving customers. And I think top down and bottom up, it is very crucial that we speak to each other, and that puts us in that position of good standing. As soon as we are in that position, then the decision makers will listen and they will assist as far as possible they can do that. And then we're not even mentioning exchange rates. The majority of us are importers bringing product home for our customer base. That depreciated in 20% within the last couple of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So for sure, speak to each other. We are here as a collective effort to overcome this situation.
Great, thanks, Wessel. I'm just going to look at the few questions here. Archford Sitoli has asked a question. I assume Archford is from outside of South Africa, and his question is a general question. Do we have anyone who is offering courier service across the border during the lockdown? I assume he's referring to you guys on the panel.
From
Not.
Yeah, from Calidec's side, no courier services has gone. There has been some large vehicles that has cross-bordered, but with a lot of red tape, and certainly not for small amounts. It all had government intervention from across the borders as well. So very, very, very difficult, and also eating time, of course, it's not quick.
Great. I see another question, and I also assume that this is from one of our attendees from outside of South Africa, Chris Caetano. He says, hello guys, I've noticed that none of you guys are willing to invest and set up shop in Southern African countries to enable more accessibility. All the major suppliers for the digital print industry have remained rooted in South Africa. I know that's not correct, but I'd like you guys just to maybe just just speak about quickly of your footprints outside the borders of South Africa. And I think it also would relate to that first question on how to get products. Won't necessarily have to come through the border, but in your own country. Bob?
We look after 47 countries in Africa, and most of those countries, 27 of those countries have local distributors. So we invest by having a local distributor in that country. So they are we're expanding that footprint. So I'm a little bit confused by the question. It's very difficult at the moment to get from here to them though, because there's another set of rules with customs. Customs have a list of products. They don't classify products as whether you've got an essential service or whether you don't have an essential service. They have a list of products they consider essential. Like ink, for example, is not considered essential, even if the user is using product on the other side. So there's a lot of red tape to get through.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I think during this lockdown period, there'll be quite a few challenges getting things shipped over the border, but I would then highly recommend any of the attendees on this that are in different countries is to find the actual one of the dealers of the members of the panel, but I'm sure every single one of these guys, and I'm certain of that, have representation in other countries. Just probably also Google on their website, so you'll probably get a list of all the dealers and branches that are around. Let's move on to the next question. I want to start this one off with Rob Makinson, and this is a question more about your company and what you'll be offering and experiencing going forward. So the question would be, can the industry expect any changes in supply from your company once we all reopen? Do you have new products coming down the line? Will there be any product discontinuations? Will there be shifts in technology? And will your company be doing things differently, and how? I know it's a whole bunch of questions, but let us have your feedback.
Yeah, you'll need to prompt the ones that I forget.
Sure.
With major trade shows being put on ice this year, including FESPA in Madrid and Drupa, any new product announcements are obviously delayed as a result. In the majority of the markets we serve, there's not an awful lot in the wings in terms of product development. There's also no specific discontinuations of any major products, certainly not as a result of COVID. Possible end of life of certain products, but COVID itself has not resulted in the withdrawal of any specific products from the market. I do think new product introduction is going to be hampered by COVID. I think R&D expense in some of the major manufacturers will get hit, so it might slow down that pace. But I think there's enough good technology out in the market at the moment to satisfy most people's requirements. Sorry, Darlene, prompt me for some of the other.
In terms of have you got any new products coming through the line shortly that you're aware of that would be coming down? And do you have any products that might be discontinued based on the current scene around the world?
No, as I said, no major new products. There were going to be a few high-end products released by HP at Drupa, more for the packaging industry at the very high end, and that is obviously going to be put on hold. But in the signage space and the textile space, we've recently introduced new product before COVID in dye sub printing. Other than that, no, nothing that's in the wings, and certainly no discontinuations we're aware of, other than through natural attrition or end of life products. In terms of supply, because I think that was the first part of the question, do we anticipate any issues? I think that's a big unknown. We had a comment from one of our major suppliers who said they've specifically stopped shipments to South Africa because they know that the wholesaler in South Africa is not able to accept deliveries because they've closed. So I certainly expect a little bit of a hiccup in terms of supplies of media, ink, possibly even machines, until the backlogs are cleared at the ports and the airports and customs and courier companies, etc. So I think once the lockdown is lifted, we're just going to have to manage that very carefully. We do have an innovation hub where we can help people if there is an issue with availability of ink and supplies. We can help to some extent. I think everybody on the panel will agree. We all don't know how supply is going to be affected until everything starts opening up again. I certainly expect backlogs. We would hope that backlog might just be a week or two. We're trying to import goods right now for a customer urgently, and it's difficult finding courier shipments even out of Switzerland. It's not as easy as it normally would be. So we anticipate possibly a week to 10 days for something that would normally take 2 to 3 or 4 days.
Great, thanks, Rob. Raymond, can we get your input on that,
please? I think maybe if I can add to that, rather than to look at it ab initio, is I'm with Rob that we're going to see delays. We're going to have issues with supply, rather than a whole lot of different and new supplies. I think we'll see different iterations of continued supplies. But I've got a barometer. If I just look up and I look out my window, I see 37 vessels anchored off the bay of Durban. Now, normally that should be between 11 and 12. So that gives you an idea. All those vessels, they're huge, large container vessels waiting to get into our ports. There's definitely a huge backlog and a bottleneck at our ports of entry, both at our shipping ports and our aeroports. So certainly that is going to be very problematic, and I think people should plan accordingly. As of new product, Alan, I think at Calidex certainly we have very closely associated with our partners across our major product supplies, and we will continue to not only be loyal but to ensure that we augment those supplies and the product that goes out. Of course, it all comes back from demand. Calidex, we supply across the range. We've got both paper, we've got signage, we have got packaging, and there it is important to remain relevant and to make sure that we can give a quality product all the way through at different time, rather than introduction of new products, so to say.
Great, thanks very much. Bob, on your side, have there been any sort of product discontinuations owing to the manufacturer and difficulties in other parts of the world?
No, there's no discontinuation. The factory has slowed down because worldwide demand is obviously falling off. There's a general lockdown in most of the world. But at this point in time, there's no products that have been discontinued. There's some new products that will be coming in. They have obviously been delayed, as Rob indicates, due to the close down of all the shows, etc., the normal places where we expose the products. There's a lot of hype amongst the R&Ds about new R&D engineers about new products to suit the new normal. One thing that you need to understand is that 95% of products that are thought of by R&D never make it to market. So you've got to be very careful of all the hype. So focus on what's concrete right now. Don't focus on the hype.
And do you think there will be any shift in technology going forward, as we know today, based on what's on the new normal?
Sure. Look, that's the beauty of life. Things change. People start thinking, and we need those people. We need those people that start thinking about new paradigms. And they always exist in a company. Right now, they're a little bit noisy because they've got the floor. So you're going to see a lot of things that are very hyped up, which will never see the light.
Great, thanks, Bob. Wessel, what's your opinion on this question?
With immediate needs, I think that we're going to see a lot more new applications for existing products that will be far greater than immediate new products for existing or new applications. I think Raymond also mentioned the international trade fairs that was cancelled. So, but even that, there's no communication from our international partners of any brand new products that was planned to be launched. The traditional innovators are tied up with the demands versus the supply challenges. So they're not really focusing on launching new products at the moment. They're just trying to cope with the demand, where the essential services are taking up all supply at this stage. Maybe in the near future, I'm convinced that there will be products that develop because of COVID-19. And again, also not maybe just a new product from scratch, existing products. And for the first time, we've been asked, does it comply to medical certification? Those things. So we're looking at additives, antibacterial, that's the type of lingo that's going around. And there are plastics with treated surfaces that can accommodate that. Will we do things differently in Maisie? Yeah, we for sure are a company that for 70 years enjoyed engaging face-to-face with our customers, and we will continue to do that in a responsible, safe way. So yes, there might be a product of ours between you and me, but we will continue to meet face-to-face at our trade counters. We will expand on our delivery service and bring more product more often to our customers for those who choose to not visit our stores. And then lastly, in the third quarter of 2019, Maisie launched our fully integrated online web shop. We first launched this as a B2C platform just to test the waters. We are now comfortable to launch our B2B platform. We can accommodate through our host of Sana in the Netherlands, fully integrated with Microsoft Dynamics. We can accommodate our account and cash customers. The only difference between these two platforms is that the operations of the B2B will still take place through our network of 24 branches. Your local branch will handle the operation of your orders, and they will deliver to your doorstep, or you can collect at your own convenience. So yes, it's different, but it was already part of the plan because of the demand. So the same but different.
Great. Thanks, Vessel. Just looking at a question here, it's directed at you, Vessel, from Mark Kedian. What is your recommended cost-effective substrate to use for protective screens?
Protective screens I would take is in line with the sneeze screens that everybody is using the lingo for. We have so many options, but for sure the plexiglass extruded locally manufactured product is definitely product of choice.
Great, thanks. I see just a general question from Jean-Pierre Heck. Probably, we might all need a crystal ball for this, but for this answer, how long would the economy take to recover from this? And as a small business, will we be able to survive? I suppose we all need a crystal ball for that. Any comments there, guys? In terms of how long the economy will take to recover, is anyone got any sort of indication on that, or is that an unknown at this point?
I think it's unknown at this point, very much so, Dylan. If you look at the experts and the university are trying to do some models to see where it goes. So they work between what they call a V model, which is a down to zero and then up very quickly with a quick recovery, or a U model, which is a much slower, which has been the original idea of the lockdown, is to slow down the impact of COVID rather than to eliminate it. And then, of course, there's also what they call the W model, which says that we've hit the bottom, we're going to get a quick response back up, and then, unfortunately, a second phase of the pandemic might come along. And you get proponents for any one of those three models that is out there. My personal opinion, which is based on anything and everything that everybody else has got out there, is I believe that in the South African side, in the Southern Africa, we will see a V-type recovery. I think demand is going to come through very, very quickly. Structurally, our government are doing some of the right things. If we look at our government, workers are all getting paid, our workers are getting paid, and that is where you need to get your economy stimulated. We've seen reductions in the interest rates, and I believe that with new approach to this pandemic, that South Africa can actually rebound quite strongly in the second part of 2020 still.
Great, thanks, Raymond. Does anybody get us something to add to that, or we can move on?
I think it's important that basically economies are about activity. So the more excited everyone gets, the more positive people get, and the more they help each other out, the quicker it'll get on its feet. But time frame is up to you guys. It's up to us as a society to turn around and say, we're going to do it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Bob. All right. My next question would be to Wessel, can kick off with this. With the world experiencing a sudden drop in supply from China since early this year, do you see an increase in local production, as in made in Africa, as the new trend? Does one need to embrace this and think in this direction opposed to importing something that can be made locally?
Yeah, this is just mentioned in my previous comment, product of choice being locally manufactured, and it's been steered by the experts in Europe. So for sure, why can the Europeans not come and put up shop here in South Africa instead of China? Definitely possible. We're an innovative nation. We can definitely put ideas into product. Can this country do with this right now? For sure we can. We faced 30% unemployment before all of this happened, and there's millions of jobs on the line as we speak. Yeah, there's always challenges of strike action and all of those. That is valid reasons why we lost a lot of manufacturing from our borders or outside our borders, sacrificed it to the neighbors and abroad. China was a lot open for this. Should we embrace? Yes, but I think what is important is that when we embrace this, the shoemaker needs to make shoes. And there needs to be focused between manufacturing, support, and distribution. Thank you.
Bob, you're up.
Am I up? The wheels turn. We lost a lot of manufacturing, globalization around the world. The US has already been, for the last 5 years, moving back to local manufacturing. We must also understand digital production changes the paradigm. You can go into creating quality products very quickly. I can take you from zero to hero in 3 days in digital production environment. So we're at the cusp. We're at the right cusp. Our big problem, we manufacture products, accessory products for the Rowan family worldwide here in South Africa. My biggest problem is South Africa doesn't focus on quality. Our people have to discipline the manufacturers always to focus on quality. So if we can get people out of a boer maak 'n plan, then we can get back into manufacturing. We need to focus on quality. And we have the people here. Fitters and turners and all these people are looking for work. So yes, but we need to actually create a standard that the world looks at and says, wow, well, that's great. It comes from South Africa.
Great, thanks, Bob. Raymond, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we must drive Made in Africa relentlessly. We are Africans. At the same time, African markets will be the future. That's where growth will come from for the rest of the world. But I think we must be careful to wish China or anybody from the East or from outside South Africa away. They will not go away because of the growth, the prospects in Africa. And I think maybe what one needs to do is concentrate on beneficiation of product, both from imports and exports. And if we start adding value to product, we're very good at taking stuff out of the ground and then shipping it all over the world. But I believe labor and work employment is one of the big issues for Africa, and that is where beneficiation can play a huge role. And I think we already start seeing some of that just on the back of COVID-19, where people have started producing face masks, face shields, spit shields, and etc. So we are certainly very able to do it. With the rand-dollar exchange, rand-euro exchange, where they are now, we can pick up the economies of scale by exporting very, I think, niche product and be very specific in what we take out there. So the opportunities are there, but we must not be blind to the fact that the import from outside will pick up.
Great, thanks, Raymond. I have a question here, and I'm going to address this to Rob. It's sort of a general question. Rob, Wayne Croft from Port Elizabeth says, "Hi guys, what impact will the current exchange rate have on our industry?"
That's always the hard one. I mean, we don't set the exchange rates. You know, everybody has seen what's happened to those rates. We always cost our inventory on an averaging system. So in essence, unfortunately, supplies, whether it's a roll of media or a bottle of ink or a machine, all of those costs are going to go up. We have already spoken to suppliers. They've borne some of the brunt. So we can still be reasonably competitive. But I think everybody must expect that until the exchange rates recover, there's going to be an increase in the cost of producing print, in essence, or cost of producing point of sale goods. If I may just go back to that last question, Dylan, on the China issue.
Yes.
Of course, in the equipment supply game, it's a bit difficult because nobody in South Africa manufactures high-end digital printing or cutting equipment. But what we've seen, certainly in the clothing game, where we sell into with dye sublimation for sportswear, there's huge volumes of sportswear being printed in China, which could be printed in South Africa. So people are shipping designs over to China. It's being printed and sometimes even manufactured into garments and sent back into South Africa. That's a very obvious example of where, particularly at 19 or 19 Rand 50 to the dollar, you would hope that a lot of that business would come back locally. There's nothing the Chinese can do in that business that we can't do locally. They don't add any value. It's always been a pricing discussion. And now with the exchange rates, hopefully that can stay within the shores. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Rob. I'm going to go on to the sort of last question. I'm going to ask Bob to kick off with this. Bob, the question is, do you think your customer's customer priorities on visual communication output will change? That is, what they request and buy from signage and print shops. What products do you think will be more in demand post-lockdown and during the COVID crisis?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball. If we're talking about the future, Darling, do I understand the question? What do we see? How do we see the future?
Exactly. What is the customers, your customers' customers? Do you think there'll be a change in trend on what they're going to be ordering from your customers for visual communication output? Will there be a trend, or would it just be as per normal?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball, but there's always changes in the market, and those customers who identify the trends first, that's the nature of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs will identify this is in demand and then start producing it. So I don't see that there's a change. There's always a demand from a customer. Now adapt. So you have the assets, you have production equipment, you're ahead of the game. If you consider all of the people who are just losing their jobs, the people who already have the assets or production capability are ahead of the game. So get out there and find out what customers want.
Great, thanks, Bob. Vessel, what can you add to this?
I think in the short to medium space or medium term, the promo space is going to be very, very busy. I think that one needs to think of the way forward post-lockdown. The promo space, for sure. How do we get you have to determine between the nice to have and the need to have. The need to have is going to call for printing and signage and all of that to be done immediately. Some markets are going to recover quicker than others, but for sure, the promo space. More awareness for the non-essentials who are going to open their doors, and then hopefully this evening we'll find out what is the government's idea of post-lockdown or soft lockdown or whatever they're going to announce. And then I think that every company should put thought into how to align and adapt to this need. And I think that need is going to be the promo space.
Thanks, Vessel. Rob, what's your opinion on this in terms of product?
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough one. As Bob said, another crystal ball. We've seen a shift just in the lockdown period with our customers. We've seen a shift from traditional advertising into awareness and education. So there's gazebos, there's freestanding display units, all displaying the right way to wash your hands, the right way to apply sanitizer. Even freestanding display units as sanitizer posts within supermarkets, etc. So there's a lot of that kind of signage that's going to continue for a while and take away a little bit from advertising. I mean, the first media that we ran out was floor graphic for demarcating, queues in shops. You go to Woolies, most of them have demarcation marks. So there's a lot of opportunities in areas where you would never have thought of before. So I think your traditional advertising for that outdoor visual might be a decline, and certain budgets might be cut as a result, so that might hurt, but there's lots of other opportunities. Can I say, I picked up on a question earlier, or a comment posted earlier, somebody saying it's easy to say think outside the box. But I just wanted to give you an example. We had a customer that recently purchased a cutter from us, ostensibly to cut inflatables, jumping castles. And they are absolutely inundated with cutting masks and face shields. It's not what they thought they bought the machine for, but they looked at what they had. They figured out the adaptability of what they had to what's needed in the market, and they adapted. And they're very busy during this time. In fact, they're talking about a second machine. So that's not thinking out the box. It's just looking at what you've got, saying how can I add value to the various areas of the industry at the moment that need it, and adapting and speaking to people and picking up the phone and phoning and not giving up until you find the right person to speak to attract that kind of work. But I think traditional advertising, it's going to be tough. I mean, we saw even before lockdown, long before COVID, budgets being cut by banks. Just drive around and look at the empty billboard spaces. That's going to get worse. But I think a lot of it will change into awareness kind of advertising and educational kind of advertising, which requires print.
Great, thanks you there, Raymond. For your input on this?
Yes, I think exciting times for especially the smaller signing or paper printer business. One of the reasons for me being excited and seeing a V-shaped recovery for post-COVID is the fact that businesses will need to start getting through the noise. Everybody wants to start up and be seen out there. Infomercials are certainly gonna take preference, and so lots of smaller runs, lots of people wanting to be in the face of their customers, promo type material, information material, a wide variety opening up to our customers and to the smaller businesses. The runs being shorter and being very specific will make sure that they are as competitive as what a larger type business will be. So I think the opportunities, as Rob also say, is going to be vast, and it's a matter of taking what you've got and applying that to the requirements that's going to be out there. So the landscape of the print and the media usage will be fairly diverse because of the infomercial requirements. But certainly it will be there, and I believe that it will be alive and well.
Great, thank you very much for that, Raymond. Well, that's the question, guys. I just see a general question that came through earlier, which we've spoken about it quite a bit, or been mentioned quite a bit in this session. Jean-Pierre Heck would like to know where he can buy this crystal ball. Any of you guys have stock?
Somebody's already commented and said they're sold out.
Yeah, somebody said it's sold out. So yeah, I'm sure we all would like to get that crystal ball. So anyone that has a stock, please let us know. Great. Just a quick parting shot from everybody. Vessel, what's your parting shot for the group?
I think one thing's for sure, this pandemic has brought our nation closer in more than one way. No one is exempt from this virus, and that puts all of us in the same box. The issue now is to get out of that box, to stay safe, to be responsible. We're in this together. We need to get out of this together. And we are all going to need each other after this. So Maisie is ready to serve, to take your inquiries during lockdown, whatever is the next phase of lockdown, and post. So we're in this together. We will get through this together. And we are here as your supply partner. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Thanks, Wessel. Bob, any final words from you?
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Take a step, guys. We're going to make it beautiful. But that's with all of us.
Perfect. Thanks, Bob. Raymond?
Dylan, I think firstly, thank you to Practical Publishing for setting up this webinar. I think this is the type of thing that will bring us as a nation together and make us stronger. The only way, of course, to predict the future is to be the future. So stay agile, stay positive, and be safe.
Great, thanks, Raymond. Just a question that Raymond Blake has just forwarded on here regarding the print work in the print industry. So the question is, how much print work or industry manufacturing is government sending overseas, and what are you as the industry leaders doing about this? For example, printing of school books in India and China. I'm not too aware of that. I'll probably have to consult with Printing SA to get they might be more aware of that kind of volume. Are you perhaps aware on the paper side of printing happening outside in China and India for our school books and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Dylan, I think firstly, I certainly share the concerns about taking our printing outside and offshore. And it's more than just school books that we know that is getting printed off in China and in the UK for that matter. But so I think that Printing SA will be more qualified to answer that. What I can say is that on very, very good authority, we do have it that the government is opening up spending. Book orders will be coming through this year. A lot of business, the government is aware that the business needs to stay on shore, and certainly there's every intent of getting that going through. With our extended school year, also in various forms, I certainly believe that also, again, local, there will be quite a bit of opportunity for us.
Great, thanks, Raymond. And just to you, Raymond Blake, from our perspective, I know there's the CEO and various members of Printing SA are watching this webinar, so we're definitely going to make it a topic and have consultation with them, and we'll feature on our African Print media channel, so we'll get back to you on that. So lastly, just from Rob, your parting words.
Yeah, again, thanks, Dylan, for putting this together. I an awful lot of questions on the question tab that have been answered. So if you have a way of disseminating and distributing those questions to all of us, I'm happy to post comments. I have just on the fly done a couple, but I'm happy to answer any questions that didn't go answered. So life goes on. I think Bob hit the nail on the head. We're a positive nation. We always are. Boeremakaplon. I mean, that's in our DNA. I think if we're just, and I hate to come back to thinking outside the box again, but we've got to do things differently and more cleverly. But people who've got businesses and got good staff and got good equipment, there's no end to what you could be doing. And those that sit back and wait for business to come to them, I think it's going to be extremely tough. I think those that have the right attitude are going to do well. And that's all we can do is keep pushing a positive attitude. I'm personally very positive. I agree with Raymond in that quick recovery. And I think we'll see it in the exchange rate. It'll be very interesting to see how quickly the rand recovers. I think the junk status doesn't help. I think that might keep the rand where it is for a little while. But as soon as that starts recovering, then I think we'll see a general positivity coming back into the market in a big way.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Rob. I just see on the earlier question about the school books, Abdul Mohammed from Printing SA has just posted a reply here, so I'm going to read out to you guys. School book printing is mainly occurring in South Africa. These companies have been requesting a listing on essential services list, and this is being considered through our contact with SACCI and BUSA. So that's the answer from Printing SA, but we will expand on that after this webinar through our media. So just finally, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time, this hour out of your day. I think it's been very informative. We look forward to doing some more with you guys, and keep well, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.